Just moving along to the next kind of question that we have on state here is, so it's stated in the Chandogya Upanishad that the first will to vanish is ignorance. And when that is gone, unskillful behavior goes. Next, desire ceases. Selfishness ends and all misery disappears. Now, this is, we know that, what we're kind of living in. Now, it is a dog-eat-dog world here. Now, impact to mental health is very clear to kind of see as well. And Bhavan, I'm going to ask you, because you're in the kind of financial services industry here. Now, as a Hindu, how can we navigate this competitive nature in the work and prevent it from really impacting our frame of mind?
It's a difficult question. I don't think there's necessarily a panacea to addressing that. What's helped me is, I would say, empathy. And by that, it means, look, I'm living my life, doing my job, conducting myself based on where I come from and what my motivations are. Similarly, others are doing the same. And what that invariably means is we're not all doing the same thing. Some are going to be more competitive for their own reasons. Some are going to see progress as a way of being more successful than you are, because of whatever their background, circumstance, experience, life, life might have been. So empathy is very important in this. And that's maybe something that's helped me, is that not everybody's going to have the same motivations as I have. Not everyone is going to have the same values that I have. And so all I can focus on in this dog-eat-dog world is on myself. I can certainly feed back to others, and I do that, and I have done that. But most importantly, I need to look after myself. I do what I need to do and not react in a certain way and behave in a certain way, because that ultimately is something I do control. I don't have control. I may have some influence, but I certainly don't have control over how somebody else might behave. And then there's a more sort of a macro question for me, is like, do I want to be part of this culture? And it's good to see that cultures are changing now. They're becoming less and less about being competitive with each other. I mean, I was in an environment for, I want to say, about 2 years where it was that, it was consulting with the Big Four, which was very much about how better are you than everyone else. And it created, almost deliberately, this dog-eat-dog sort of competitive culture. Needless to say, I didn't survive that. This isn't for me. I'd like to work more in collaboration and collegiately with my colleagues rather than in competition with them. So there's a question of, does a culture suit you? Does a value system suit you? But more importantly, I think it's much more about, for me, it's about, well, first of all, empathizing with the other, but also knowing what I can control, and that is my own conduct and behavior.
You've been in the industry for around 30, 40 years as well. What's your kind of experience been?
I would second what you've just said. It's the values by which you live, those are foremost important in understanding that, there are behaviors that are not right, and you don't want to be part of it. And therefore you stick to your understanding of how you should behave. And it's difficult because, you will see other people progressing in their careers, and they are climbing the corporate ladder by stepping all over other people, because that's the way they have actually learned how to get onto the top. And there are others who are sincerely working and are not in the frame for being promoted. And you have to learn to live with that and continue to work and not be kind of put into a situation by your own thinking, so that you end up compromising your values. Those values are very, very important, I think, and they underlie what Dharma is all about.
Anything I don't know from your side?
Yeah, I think as a Hindu, we're very lucky that we have a very dynamic culture. It's not something that's stuck in the sand and is static, and we can kind of adapt and develop. And I think that's really been emphasized to us by our gurus, by our rishis. They've said that actually sometimes you're not the ones making the rules. And sometimes if we are in a dog-eat-dog world, then you have to play by those rules, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, you have to recognize that, as you both said, what is it that you value? In the long run, is this sustainable for you? How can you progress in this environment? And sometimes it is very difficult, but it does start with yourself. So, I have colleagues who say, Arjun, you know so much, or you do this, or I wish my son was doing something like this, or teach him some Hindi or whatever. But if they themselves are not doing it, then why would their children or colleagues or brothers or sisters to be doing the same thing? Why have they suddenly put it on me to give them some advice or something? So for everyone, it starts with yourself. When you start yourself, it doesn't matter whether your friends or colleagues or people around you are following the same value system, because you should just focus on yourself. Eventually, the people who care about you and the people you care about will accept that and will be completely on your side when it comes to living your life that way.
Very true.
No, true. Okay, well, sort of in continuation with that, and again, a question back to you. In the Vidunity state, so one who understands quickly, can listen to others with patience for a long time, can track objects with judgment, and who never interferes in the task of others. Such traits are and only do exist in really wise people. Now, without a doubt, we learn and develop a tremendous amount at work and in our careers. Now, with that knowledge, with that same vigor and that professionalism, how can we implement these skills that can benefit our dharmic life? And obviously we touched upon this earlier, what we mean by dharma, the consciousness of our actions, our words, our thoughts, that compassion to other people's needs, and keeping that divinity in kind of front and central. How can we do that, Arjun?
So I think with this person that the Shastras are describing, I've definitely not reached that stage yet, because I don't think I'm the wise person, and I think that hopefully one day I will be like that. But I think the key thing is listening to others. We have people who are above us, who are at the same level of us, who are younger than us, all ages, all genders, all backgrounds, who have things to teach us. And if we're constantly listening and taking people's advice on board, not taking offense to what people are saying, being able to absorb their good traits, then inevitably we will become like them. And there's a lot of work in psychology which says the people you spend the most time with, you become a combination of those people. Your personality molds those people. So if we're keeping good company, spending time with people who we look up to and respect and are respected by others, then obviously inevitably we're more likely to become like them.
Bye. Question to you, same one.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree. I think there's a requirement and need for humility and modesty. Not so much modesty, but humility, knowing that, look, you don't know everything there is to know, despite you may think, even if you might think that. But that's something I've got to really try hard for, because being humility means learning from everyone and anyone. No matter how young they may be, no matter how uneducated they might be, there is something to be learned from, and you can only learn from a place of humbleness. So I would say, humility is something that we have to consciously practice, and so it becomes part of your character as well. That's what I would add.
Anything from your side, Ravi?
Well, for me, I think this human existence that we have is a gift, and therefore the faculties that we have and everything else that we have been provided with, if we are grateful for that and we use that wisely, and we develop this interest in not only doing what is going to fulfill our own needs and wants, but to try and look at this opportunity as being able to make a contribution to other people, to the world, in whatever profession we follow, whatever we do in our spare time. And we do that with commitment. And in particular, our own self-development, if we actually choose that as something that's important for us, and not only from a professional point of view, but from a dharmic point of view as well, and learn some of the scriptures and learn to apply them in our life, they will benefit us in the long term. They might not appear to be easy to follow, but they are not that difficult either. They are not that difficult. When the time comes and you make a commitment and take one step at a time, believe me, a whole lot of things will open up. And there'll be help and there'll be support that you will receive, I feel. And I just find that, new avenues open up all the time, and there is that opportunity to learn from everybody all the time, in lots of different ways.